listener, to the last open call episode of this, our first season of Chicago Airwaves Horror Thursday Night segment, or more succinctly, Gothic FM. Next week we delve into my occult investigation of the Shining Madonna, one of my earlier cases. I digress. Tonight we follow the sad, fickle reality of memory when recalling your actions occur with little trouble, but remembering why you so willingly abandoned home and hearth in the dark midnight hours for hilltops alongside a cross-dressed entity rather escapes you. Even more so why you deemed it fit to bring with you a small mammalian sacrifice. This is Dust. Good evening, caller. Please state your name and relation to the horror.
Aiden Summersmith. I took part in a ritual on the Three Sisters Kopis in South Africa.
For those unaware, please explain what a kopi is.
Yeah, sure. Kopi is almost like a type of hill. Geologists will probably crucify me for trying to explain the difference, but what you need to know about the Three Sisters Kopis: they slope up like normal hills for a couple of 100 feet, then there are these weird little rock formations at the top and in the middle. It goes up almost 90 degrees of sheer rock, then at the top there is another smaller hill. Three Sisters Northern Cape. Might be easier just to Google it. I did when my stepsister tried to explain it to me. She said it was the only remotely interesting thing about her mom's hometown.
Victoria West.
Yeah, we were spending Christmas at my step-grandparents'. It was my first time in the country. Flew into Cape Town, spent a few days there before driving up into the desert. Charnay pointed out the Three Sisters as we drove past them. Her mom told me about the stories of how apparently during the colonial period guys accused of crimes would disguise themselves as women and head inland from the Cape to escape authorities. Some local legends say the most well-known criminal turned cross-dresser also turned supernatural being, Anki Somers, called the Three Sisters home. Anki Somers is basically the boogeyman over there. The only difference, a pretty massive difference, is he is real. My stepmother's family bred like rabbits. There were 8 under 12-year-olds there. Me and Charnay were 19, so the designated babysitters. Honestly, I prefer spending time with kids versus arguing if it's the optimal time to invest in tech stocks or answer for the 5th time why I'm a vegan. The kids were cute. Lynette was 9 and already had this intricate plan to become a cardiologist and get married to a neurosurgeon. They would live on a fruit farm in KwaZulu-Natal and have 5 kids. Their parents put them all to bed around 5 p.m. At 10:59, they checked on the kids before going to bed. All of them were gone. The neighbors came to us asking if they knew where their children went. It wasn't 15 minutes before every house in the vicinity congregated on the street, rushing house to house. I helped calling private security and police. Those on the other side answered with hoarse voices and interrupted sobs. The police and private security's children were gone as well. The community organized search parties. Those hiding their emotions best went out driving around the town. I made coffee and tea for those who stayed behind. The grandmas placing tissues to tears on their cheeks, or grandpas too old to do more than help me care for those left behind. You know the moment when the sky is that dark blue before sunrise? That was when Charnay ran into the room. The kids were marching into town. A swarm of little kids in their pajamas scurrying with loud pitter-patters up the road. 1 or 2 breaking off when they passed their house, climbing over the walls around their parents' properties or slipping through an open gate. In the middle was one being too tall for the children's rabble, holding Lynette's hand on one side and a blonde boy's on the other. The being had a sunbonnet like the Handmaid's Tale hat, white in its previous lives, but now black and brown with dust and holes. Long, wispy hair straggled down its hollowed out, ash white cheeks hidden behind dirt and mud. He he had these leopard like yellow eyes that glowed, and it was dressed like a woman from the 1700s with soot scorched holes in the dress, unwashed since it was first worn. As the sun rose, it vanished. Some parents shouted at their kids, "Where were they?" Others tried to hug them, but the kids ignored them and slipped away to their beds, climbed in, and closed their eyes.
Were there any visible afflictions on the children?
No, I mean, there were some small scrapes and bruises, especially on their hands and knees, but nothing a kid wouldn't have from just playing rough. They were all insanely dirty with dust, though.
When they awoke, was it in unison or scattered times?
What?
Did they wake up at the same time or different times?
Oh. They woke up at different times. Some kids woke up within half an hour, especially if their parents kept pestering them. Other kids woke up hours later.
What did they tell their parents?
The same story. Every single kid. They woke up, snuck out however they could, and ran to a highway crossroads leading to the Three Sisters. They told us of that thing I described, sitting at the crossroads, singing an Afrikaans nursery rhyme. Simbamba. They sang it with the being all the way to the Three Sisters. All the way scrambling up the hill, clambering up the last 90-degree bit until they were at the top. On the 3 different hills, the 3 groups of kids clasped hands, twirled in circles, and shouted names of men in town between 18 and 20. Lynette remembered during her turn, she said my name. The kids climbed down and followed the creature back to town.
Did the children elaborate on any reasons for this behavior?
No, they said there was a reason. They knew the man dressed in women's clothes was waiting for them, but they forgot why when they came back. They understood they had to say names, but they didn't remember why. They all confessed to being supremely happy on the Three Sisters, but again, why?
And you are certain no one was injured?
The really bad stuff happened the next night. It was my turn. My eyes opened themselves, satin sheets unbearably scratchy and coarse. I threw them off and went barefoot to the window. I had to make sure I did it quietly, for some reason. I climbed through the window and over the garden fence. Other guys my age were sneaking out too. We said each other's names as we accumulated in front of him. His yellow, almost toothless smile felt comforting. He had inches-long fingernails as thick as tree roots. I knew it before he offered his hand to the crowd. We were 39 guys, exactly, but only me and this one blonde farm boy crept to the front and took a hand at each of his sides. He cackled. We were off in comfortable silence. Our tranquil march to the Three Sisters stopped halfway through. Each of us ran into the desert. I found a spring hare, knelt down, picked it up by the scruff around its neck, and forced my thumbs through its eyes until the mush of its brain squeezed out. The other men all brought their own small sacrifices. Rabbits, birds, one guy had a small deer. I still don't understand why I did that. Or why I wanted to. We walked up the kopjes with our offerings, helping each other to get over that last steep incline. I was on the kopje to the right, the thing in the middle, and Blondie on the left. 13 guys per hill. We danced in a circle, elbows locked with each other, sacrifice in hand, wailing. Thunder cracked as lightning separated our pieces of sky into three. When my eyes adjusted, he was next to me, his nose against my cheek, neck moving like a hunchback snake. He sniffed my hair, his fingernails pricking hair from my skull, staying in step with our rotating circle. We wailed again. Lightning struck. He was gone. I remember being happy, smiling so much it hurt. He chose me out of all those guys in the circle. My hand felt lighter. I raised it to my face. The spring hair was gone. Only its brain mush and blood remnants left.
Did the other offerings remain with the owners?
Yes, just mine was gone. I was so proud, I don't understand why. I still get nightmares from that soiled nose rubbing over my cheek. Hear the long, labored breaths coming out of it. Smell the fingernails. But right then, I was happy. I know there was a reason for it. We are all still in a group chat after that night. We all know we had reasons. It makes sleeping at night difficult, though. Again, we wailed. Again, lightning segregated the sky. Again, my eyes adjusted. Me and Blondie were on the middle hill. The middle group of 13 yowling in their spinning circle around us. The being held my spring hair sacrificed to one side and Blondie's turtle to the other, arms outstretched. The creature spoke in a voice I can't mimic, in a language I didn't understand. Everyone stopped spinning. Blondie glared at me. The others flicked gaze between me and Blondie. It spoke again in its deep, cracked voice. Blondie curled hands into fists. The others nudged their heads in unison at the offerings. Blondie swung a fist at me with the first raindrops. The guys on all the kopjes howled. Blondie came at me again. He brought down his heel onto my chest. I grabbed his ankle, twisted it far enough for him to scream while falling down. I crawled on top of him, raised a fist. It spoke again. Something different. Blondie threw me off and crawled to it, begging in Afrikaans. It smiled. Dropped my offering before cleaving apart the turtle's shell. With its nails, it made a fissure in one of its age spots. Drip, drops of blood into the turtle carcass. Blondie scurried to it, gripped the neck and bit into the flesh. Everyone but Blondie clambered down the hill. I glanced back. Blondie's hands were scratching deeper into the turtle. Behind him, the thing took off its handmaid's tail hat, hairy, patchy, and a hole in its forehead. It fastened the hat onto Blondie. I was too far down the kopje to see what happened next. Like with the kids, we went to bed, ignored anyone who tried to talk to us. I still feel guilty. 3 p.m. came and I opened my eyes, remembering everything I did, but no idea why. No one has seen Blondie since that night, not officially. In dreams and therapy, he pops up a lot. Apparently, his name was Enrico. He studied architecture in Pretoria, and came home for his first Christmas as a student. But there was one report when a guy visited Loxton close by. He was driving home to Victoria West late, maybe 1 a.m., when at the crossroads there stood a woman with a torn-up sunbonnet on her head. He stopped to ask her if she was okay. She looked up. It was Enrico, with leopard yellow eyes.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us tonight. We are grateful for all of the support we have received thus far for Gothic FM. It is a blessing to count you as a part of our listening ritual. Until next week, stay curious, stay morbid, and remember to search the dark corners of your life.